Welcome to Spice Mantra. Today I'm making a chickpea curry, which is delicious, simple to make, a coconut spinach, which is my son's favorite. Anytime I ask him, what do you want me to make? He always says, coconut spinach. What else? So I'm making the chickpea curry and the coconut spinach, and also a carrot peanut relish that goes really nicely with that. So let's get started. I have 1 pound of canned chickpeas. You can also use the dry chickpeas. You just need to use 1 cup of dry chickpeas, and then you want to soak them in about 5 to 6 cups of water overnight, and then cook them till it's nice and soft, kind of like this consistency, you know, where you just want to crush it. Whoops, I dropped one. You know, it has to be soft. So what you really need for this is the garam masala, a spice mixture that I always make fresh using cinnamon, coriander, cumin seeds, and cloves. That's kind of the standard. You can always add more spices to it, sometimes as many as a dozen, but for our purposes, to keep it simple and get you started on spice cooking, my intention is just to add 4 spices. So we'll make a spice mixture by dry roasting the spices in a skillet, and then you cool it down completely and put it through a spice grinder and get it to really like a fine ground, and you'd be adding that to the chickpea curry. So let's get started on that, making the garam masala, or the 4 ground spice mix. Okay, I'm ready to start my spice mixture, the garam masala. It's a 4 spice mixture. It can be a little more complex with additional spices, but for our purposes, I'm just making a very simple 4 spice. I already got it started here, so you want to bring a skillet. I'm just using a large here, but you just need a small skillet if you're making small quantities. You just get it to heat and add a ½ teaspoon of cumin and a ½ teaspoon of coriander seeds, and the cumin was also whole seeds, and then about 3 or 4 cloves. And again, cloves are these funny looking, they almost look like a nail, I think, but they really add a nice pungent taste. And this is cinnamon. It's a little different from the regular cinnamon that you get here. The bark is lighter, but it does taste almost the same. It's maybe a little less stronger than the cinnamon that you get here. So basically you dry roast it. You don't add oil or anything. Just dry roast it, get it to a nice golden brown, and you can see that it's almost done here because I just started it a little early. And that's what you're looking for. When you start seeing that smoke and you can smell the aroma, it's so fragrant in here right now. I wish you could smell it. But if you try it at home, you can. So really, you're looking for a nice golden brown, and at this point, I'm just going to turn the heat off and just remove that from the heat. Don't try this at home. I just have asbestos hands. So that's the garam masala, or the 4 spice mix. Once that's ready, you just want to cool it completely because you don't want to be blending that when it's hot. So you cool it completely, usually about 20 minutes or so, and then you want to add it to a spice grinder. This is actually a coffee grinder, but I use it exclusively to grind spices. So I just put it through this spice grinder, and then when it's cooled completely, and then just get it to blend completely. And you know, you want to get a nice ground spice that looks like a you know, ground ginger or ground cumin, and I'll show you what it is since I made some already. So this is what it looks like, and you definitely can go a little more ground if you want it, but you just see a little bit of the cinnamon and ground cinnamon in there, and the cumin, and coriander, and cloves. And it absolutely smells wonderful. I wish the camera could pick that up, but you have to take my word for it. So it can be stored at room temperature, or in a cool, dry place for up to a month if you really want to retain its oils and flavor. The store-bought stuff that you get on the shelves is good, but you don't know the difference till you try the fresh. This is just simply a huge flavor factor into your cooking. So today I'm using this to enhance the chickpea curry, and let's get started with that. I am ready to get started on the chickpea curry. I have a skillet, a medium-sized skillet on medium-high heat, and I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of oil. And I'm using again about a pound of chickpeas, so that's about 2 tablespoons of oil there. You just want to get it to a heat and add a medium chopped onion. I have it already pre-chopped here, so you want to peel and chop the onion to small pieces like that. So nothing fancy. So I'm ready to add the onion in there. It's nice and hot, so you can hear the sizzle. So that's about, I'd say that's about a medium onion. You want to get it to soften just a little bit, about a minute or so. And since I had my pan really hot, it just is working so much better. If you start off in a cold pan, it takes a while to heat up. So it's always a good idea to get your pan, bring it up to heat before you add the oil, because you don't want to be burning the oil as well. So I think I'm ready to add my grated ginger. So I have about a 1-inch piece of ginger that's kind of grated, and I'll be adding some garlic to it. So you just want 2 cloves of garlic. I already had some peels, so that made it very easy. So again, just crush it, and then it doesn't matter which way you do it, but it just kind of, you want to make sure that it's a fine mince, so that you're not biting into garlic. In this case, it's going to be cooked, so it doesn't really matter as much, but still, nobody really wants to be biting into a big piece of garlic. So I think I'm okay with that, so I'm going to add that in. So that's 2 cloves of garlic. This is very common in Indian cooking. You have the onion, ginger, and garlic mixture, which is very typical in most parts of the country. However, there are some places where people absolutely don't need onion or garlic. It's too pungent, so there's a population that absolutely cooks without ginger and onion. They do cook with ginger, I'm sorry, garlic and onion. Personally, I happen to love onion and garlic, so I absolutely need to be adding it. But I do have to say that there are a few recipes that are cooked with ginger and without the onion and garlic, and they taste absolutely delicious as well. But I still think that these things, the onion and garlics, enhance the taste. So and I know there are a lot of garlic lovers out there who absolutely have to have garlic in everything other than perhaps dessert. So these are nice and like a light golden brown. Now I'm ready to add the other spices to it, which is I have turmeric. Again, turmeric is used in almost every cooking for other than desserts, I must say, almost all dishes. So that was about 4 teaspoons of turmeric. It's the yellow stuff that you get. You'd be able to buy that in any supermarket. It's becoming more and more readily available, so I don't think you'll have any trouble finding turmeric. You can cook without it, but the nice golden yellow color, almost like a saffron color, you get when you add turmeric and tomatoes. That combination is something that, again, is flavorful, and it really looks wonderful. What I'm really trying to do here right now is getting the raw flavor of the turmeric. That can have a little bit of a bite to it, so it's always a good idea to just get the raw taste of turmeric out. And it's browning here. I don't really want it to do that. I'm ready to add tomatoes. Here I have 3/4 cup of crushed tomato. So I just add that, turn the heat down just a little bit. I want to get every last bit out of there. And then I have a 1/2 cup of diced tomatoes. You can use fresh or canned. It doesn't really matter. It's your preference. But you know, as far as tasting this taste of this dish is concerned, it really doesn't matter because it's kind of really cooked well. So it's not like you're eating, you know, tomatoes like in a salad where it's raw and you can't really have the canned stuff. So just get a good brand, and you know, you all have your favorites. Stick to that. You just want to make sure that they don't have a lot of preservatives. So that's the key. And if you get organic, even more better. It's a little more expensive, but it's well worth it. So especially because tomatoes are canned tomatoes are picked at the peak of the season. So sometimes you know, it's economical to buy a good brand versus the fresh tomatoes that can be really expensive. And the store-bought ones, oftentimes, if it's not the summertime, I just find that they're not the best quality. They are not like ripe, you know, they're artificially ripened, and I don't like that. So for some of these dishes, I definitely prefer to use canned tomatoes. And not only that, it's also a matter of convenience because, you know, let's face it, you just open the can and, you know, you have your tomatoes ready to go. You don't have to spend so much time, and it cuts down on your cooking time. So it's really, really convenient to be able to use that. And they're readily available, and, you know, I think there's no harm. There are people who don't want to use it, but again, it's, you know, just how you feel about it. In that case, you can go ahead and use the fresh tomatoes. Take the time to cut, and then if you're making the crushed, you want to blend that, because what we are looking for is to get a nice gravy. It has to have a fairly good consistency, kind of like chili. So that's what we are going for here. So I think I'm ready to add the spice mixture to this one. The spice mixture that we made earlier with the cumin, coriander, cinnamon, and cloves. So we dry roasted everything and cooled it completely, and then ground the spices. So I'm ready to add that right now. So again, since this didn't have any heat to it, there was no cayenne added. I'm just adding a good heaping teaspoonful, and you can do you know, a little bit more or less depending on your taste. You don't want to overdo the spice, because anything more than a teaspoon, a heaping teaspoonful for a pound of beans is a little too much. It can take away from the dish. The whole thing is all about balance, and you know, you find your own sometimes. You just make it enough times to know that. But I just find that the rule of thumb is for 1 pound of beans, for different bean dishes, I use about a teaspoon of the garam masala or the 4-spice mix. Sometimes, I've talked about this before, it can be, up to a dozen spices, but these are the major players here. You see how it's already turning into a nice, almost like a caramelized color, not as dark, of course, but you see that it's not like the red of the tomatoes. The spices just made it into a completely, took it to another dimension. So, and it also smells divine in here. I wish you would be able to take a look at what it looks like and what it smells like. So, okay, I think I'm ready to add the chickpeas to it. Chickpeas is something that, again, it's very popular in the northern part of India, and also it's used extensively in the Middle East. You've had hummus. You're familiar with hummus. That's made out of chickpeas. The process is a little different, of course, because today we are making a chickpea curry. So just mix this well, and now I'm ready to add salt and a pinch of sugar. I always use a pinch of sugar just to cut down the acidity of the tomatoes. It just makes it a little sweeter, but not, you can't really tell, but it does make a difference. If you make without that pinch of sugar, there's a tartness from the tomatoes, and also the acidity is cut. So therefore, it's just a habit that I have in the parts where my husband is from, which is Western India, from Pune, which is close to Mumbai. Almost all dishes, there's a balance of taste. So they always add a pinch of sugar to almost everything. So now I'm ready for my pinch of sugar first. So that's the pinch. Probably be a little more generous. So with a small pinch. So again, you don't have to overdo this because it's not dessert. You're just doing a little bit. And now I'm ready for my salt. I'm using about a half teaspoon. You can use it to taste. You can do less or more depending on how you like it. So while I'm mixing this, I still remember the first time I ever had this dish. This is really common on the street, it's like the street food, like hot dogs here. Street food in India, they have a cart, and usually this is made right there, and they have like a big heap of wok filled with the chickpea curry, and it's just topped with onions and lemon, and it's so delicious. Always, this was something that when we were in school and college, it was cheap food, it was affordable, and was very filling. You got your protein, and you have your vegetables, right? So it was delicious, and the spicier the better. Which reminds me, I did not add the cayenne to it, so that's a very important element of this dish. Again, depending on how you like it, you can add a little bit or, more. I'm going to be conservative, and I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon. It's not quite a 1/4 teaspoon. So I'm adding a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne to it. Again, you can go a little bit more, a little bit less. Less is always better. You don't want to add too much because you can't take away, remember? So that looks good enough to eat right now. But it's not done yet. I have to add the liquid to it to make it into this nice gravy that I'm looking for. For this amount, again, for the pound of beans, I have 1 cup of water that I'm going to be adding. So that's 1 cup of water. Whoops. And then you just want to bring this to a boil. It's always a good idea to have some hot water on hand, because that just cuts down on the cooking time completely. I find that when I come home, when I'm making a cup of tea for me or a cup of coffee, I just add some extra water to the kettle so that I have that. Or if I need, if I'm cooking large quantity, then I always have another pot of water so that when I'm multitasking, I'm trying to do 3 dishes together, I have a hot pot of water. Just while I'm drinking tea or coffee, then I have my hot water ready. It just gives me another 10 minutes to relax and then regroup and then come back to my cooking. So when you're organized, you can really end up making 2 or 3 dishes. Now this is boiling away, so I reduce the heat at this point, and then what you do is you just cover it and then let it simmer for about 7 to 9 minutes, just to get all the raw flavors from the spices out, and it all balances as well. Sorry, it balances, and it's delicious. So it should be done in about 7 to 9 minutes. That's the chickpea curry. I'm making a coconut spinach dish that is just delicious, and it's just so wonderful and refreshing. You're used to making a cream spinach, but trust me, try this, and I'm sure this will become a great addition to your cooking, because it's so simple. It doesn't even have a lot of spices in it. So I'm going to be using frozen spinach. Just again, it's the convenience, and this is 10 ounces of defrosted chopped spinach. You want to make sure that you use chopped spinach. If you don't prefer the frozen defrosted spinach, you can use the fresh. You can use the bag that you get at the grocery store, and you just want to make sure that you chop it because you don't want to be biting into the long stems in this one. So even though they are cooked, they just sometimes tend to drag. So chopped is always a good idea, especially for this dish. To this, actually, I'm going to be cooking this with onions. I already have some chopped, so you want to peel and dice your onions. And I'm adding some garlic, which I have peeled. I'm just going to mince it. So for the 10-ounce spinach that I have here, I'm just using 2 cloves of garlic, and this one, it's just a rough chop. It doesn't have to be a fine mince. Just a rough chop is good, because with this, even if you bite into it, it's coated with spinach and coconut, and once in a while a little bit of it doesn't hurt. So I also have coconut. I'm going to be using coconut in this. So this is a half cup of coconut I'm using for the 10-ounce of spinach. This is fresh grated. You can also use desiccated unsweetened. I'm really stressing on the unsweetened, because if you use the sweet coconut that's available in the baker's section, you'll just make a dessert, and you don't want to be eating a spinach dessert. So just make sure you will be able to get this in the international aisle or the organic section. So just be sure to look for this, and you can always get it much cheaper in the Indian grocery store. So what you can get in the Indian store is also fresh frozen coconut, and it's already, the work is already done for you, and you'd be able to buy that as well. The other ingredient that I'm using is jalapeno. I have it here. I don't usually seed it because Indian cooking is spicy a lot of times. So if you are not comfortable with heat, you can just de-seed some of the jalapenos, and you want to be, these can sting. So if your hands are very sensitive, you want to be using gloves to do this. So all I have is a fine chop on that. So these are the ingredients. Now let me show you how to make that. We're just going to move over to the stove, and then I'll show you how to make this simple yet delicious dish, which I'm sure you'll be able to add to your cooking. If you love spinach, you should try this. I'm getting started with my spinach dish. As you can see, I have a skillet, a medium skillet, with a tablespoon of oil, and it's on medium-high heat. I'm going to be adding onions to it, and this is one medium onion that I already chopped, and it's not really a fine dice. You can see the sweetness of the onion and the spinach just kind of blends really well. Spinach is something that I kind of really grew up on. Almost every night we had spinach, and it wasn't just spinach like you get, like what you call spinach here. The greens were a whole lot of variety. So I still remember that it doesn't happen so much in the cities anymore, unfortunately. But I still remember the woman that brought a big basket of spinach, different varieties. It was like greens, you name it. They were like different, like some had a little bit of tart flavor to it, some were bitter. It's kind of like your Swiss chard and the other greens that you get here, but most of them were smaller variety. And she would get up in the morning at 4 o'clock. This is what she told me, and I think I believe her because she was at my door at 6 o'clock. And some of the soil from the spinach, the roots would be attached to the spinach. So the poor lady, did her job, but she took pride in going to the fields, getting the spinach out, tying a little twine around it. And, it was very, very inexpensive and fresh. So for dinner every night we had spinach, and we didn't really complain about vegetables because we just didn't know. It was part of, I think when you started, like when you were a toddler, we probably had like a plate full of vegetables, especially spinach, and so you grew up eating. So I have my spinach here. It's getting nice, my onions for the spinach, and it's getting nice and soft. So you just want to make it translucent like that, and then I'm ready to add the chopped jalapeno. The jalapeno gives a little bit of heat to it, but if you don't like this, you can leave this out and add a little bit of cayenne if you like, because sometimes you can't tell the difference between the spinach and the jalapeno. But when you have it like this and when it cooks, it loses its heat a little bit and blends into the dish itself, so it wouldn't be that bad. So I'm just going to be adding, I like it hot, so I add a little bit more. But when my son comes home, this is his favorite dish. Like I told you, I don't add as much. He likes this dish, but not if I make it very hot. So I never make it hot when he comes home, only when I'm cooking for myself. So I added the jalapeno in there. This is one of those dishes that doesn't have turmeric, which is kind of really rare. Like I was telling you, turmeric is used pretty much in all dishes. But this is one of those dishes that doesn't have. So for all you folks who don't like to use turmeric, this is something that you can make. Now I'm ready to add the spinach in there. Like I said, you can use fresh spinach. You want to make sure it's chopped. This is 10 ounces of defrosted spinach. And since it's really cooked, it doesn't take a lot of time to cook this dish, because while I was defrosting, all I really was also doing was cooking the spinach. And it doesn't take too long to cook spinach at all, as you know, especially when you're using the fresh. You kind of really fill it all up, and then it's just a little bit. So I think one of the reasons why I like to use frozen spinach is also someone else has done the work for you. They've picked it, and, they've really got it down to a small little box. And so I find that the frozen spinach, chopped frozen spinach, doesn't reduce as much as when you do the fresh. So because the compressed spinach is already in there. So it doesn't take very long. I'm ready to add salt and pepper, salt and a little bit of sugar, not pepper. we already have the jalapeno. So that's a pinch of sugar, like I always add to my dishes, and that's salt. So with this, I'm not going to be very generous because spinach doesn't need a lot of salt. So a little bit over the shoulder. And at this point, I'm ready to add garlic. We had 2 cloves of garlic minced earlier, so I'm adding that. With this dish, if you love garlic, you can add a little bit more. You don't want to make it too garlicky because this is, after all, a coconut spinach dish. So you definitely can go up to 3 cloves of garlic on this. I just happen to like the balance of flavors, so I don't overdo, even if I like garlic or onion, or which I do, I don't overdo. I just find that while cooking, I find a balance that I like, and sort of standardize that. And once in a while I might do a little bit, like if I know a friend likes garlic, then I'll add a little more garlic. Somebody likes onion, I might add a little bit more. But I don't overdo, because it's it's all about really marrying everything well. That looks good to me. At this point, I'm ready to add the coconut to this dish. And let's save a little bit. And once you do the coconut, you just want to turn the heat down. You don't really want to cook the coconut. If you're using the desiccated, unsweetened coconut, then you want to cook it up a little longer. But with the fresh, it just blends in really well, so you don't really have to cook. So I'm done with this. I think it looks delicious. So that's the coconut spinach, and it just has very few ingredients and doesn't even have any spices. So this is something that you can definitely add as a side dish, and perhaps you can get the kids to eat some of this. When they try, don't tell them what it is, just sneak it in and maybe they'll eat it, because you can't really tell that it's spinach. It's like, what is that? And you can just say, do you want to try it? And maybe they'll try it, and maybe they'll start eating spinach. So that's sometimes just making something exotic and wonderful for the kids sometimes to try out. They're willing to, when you do the same old dishes that you've been trying and they don't already like it, they're not ready to try anything new. So I just find that I won't force anything, but I just make a dish and have my kids taste it. And fortunately, all my kids love spinach, and this is a standard in my house. Every time my son comes home, we always has it. I just have a few standard dishes that I make. So the first, from the airport, the first thing he asks me is, "Mom, did you make the spinach?" So, he just expects it, and I know that I have to make that for him. And it's a snap. It's easy to make. It's not like I'm, taking hours to make a dish. So while we were talking, this is almost done. I'm turning the heat off, and I'm ready to plate it so you can take a look at how it looks, and we'll be ready to taste it. I have the spinach dish ready, and as you can see, it looks awesome, and it smells so good. You really want to, bite into it. Don't you want to eat it? So I'm going to be tasting just a little bit because I can't resist, and this happens to be our family's favorite, especially my son's. And I hope you get to try this at home. That is so good. That is simply amazing. So for all you kids out there, you should definitely try this. The next dish that I'm making is a carrot relish that is really, again, refreshing, and you can add this. It's almost like a salad, but the Indian relishes, you don't eat like a salad. You don't have big servings. You just add that as a small side dish, if you will, just to incorporate some vegetables and cleanse your palate. Again, it's all about balance. You need a little bit of this and a little bit of that, to try and balance your plate and eat your food. Moderation. So this is one of those dishes that can be categorized as a moderation dish because you eat a little bit of it. Although all you really have is peanuts and carrots in it with a little bit of jalapeno and mustard seeds. You have a little bit of sweet, salt, and bitter because I'm adding some lemon juice to it. So the simple way to do this is you just have, I have a cup, it's a nice heaping cup of carrots, grated carrots. They're peeled and grated. I'm adding juice of a half lemon. Let me get that out from here. Whoops, one more. So I think I got it all. So actually it's half lemon, but since these are really small lemons, I'm just going to be adding a little bit more. I'll use up the whole one here. So if you have a nice big size lemon, all you need is half lemon, juice of a half lemon, or 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So I got that. And I'm going to be adding, these are crushed peanuts. So they're finely crushed peanuts. So it's almost like a coarse grind. And so I'm adding a tablespoon, and I'll save the rest for garnishing. So I'm just going to be mixing this up here. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a pinch of sugar. And mix it all well. So while this is sitting, we'll be doing a seasoned oil, which is called magic, really. I just think that it is magical, so I like to call it magic. It's hot oil with some mustard seeds and jalapenos. It came in different combinations. In this case, I'm just going to be using black mustard seeds, which is these things that you can buy at the Indian store, Indian grocery store, or you can always use dry white mustard that you get in the regular grocery store. So now I'm ready to do the hot oil, and I'm going to be adding the mustard seeds and the jalapenos. Now I'm ready to finish this. Carrot relish with a little bit of peanut. This was the crushed peanut. I just saved some and I'm topping it off. So that looks delicious and I'm ready to taste it. And I bet you want to do that too. So, it's very simple and you can make it. So let me just taste that for you. And with the lemon and the seasoned oil, the magic, I'm sure it's good. And I know it's going to be good even before I eat it. That's funny, isn't it? That is delicious. Simple to make, easy, delicious. You should definitely go ahead and try this. I have the chickpea curry ready, and I just garnished it with a little bit of lemon wedges, as you see here. I'm going to taste it, but I would really like you to try this dish. Making it simple, easy, and it'll be a great addition to your cooking. And try this instead of hummus. Make the chickpea curry, and you won't be sorry. You'll absolutely like it. I can pretty much guarantee that. So I'm going to taste a little bit because, again, I can't resist it. Takes it back to like the street food that I used to eat back in India when I was growing up. That is quite good. It's tangy, it's got a little bit of sweetness, a little bitterness, but everything is in balance. Trust me on that one, it's really good. The chickpea curry and the spinach dish and the carrot peanut relish is all plated, and I'm eating this with rice, and I can already tell that it's delicious. But that is so good. Altogether, it's simply a delicious meal, fit for your kitchen table or for a party. So definitely add this to your cooking. Until next time, this is Aditi Thatte. I hope that you'll add a touch of spice to your cooking and make it special and exotic. Thank you for watching.